Cabin 7, Chapter 1. The Road to Silver Pine. The snow started 3 hours before Daniel Mercer reached the mountains. By the time he turned onto the winding road towards Silver Pine Inn, the world beyond his windshield had disappeared into white. From the back seat, his 8-year-old daughter sighed. "Dad?" "Yeah?" "Are we lost?" Daniel tightened his grip on the wheel. "No." "You said that before." "And I was right before." Lily leaned forward between the seats, her pink winter hat sliding over one eyebrow. "Mom would have brought a map." Daniel went quiet. There it was, the ache. Rebecca had been gone 3 months, but sometimes grief still arrived like a sudden drop in the road. 1 second he was driving, the next he was remembering her laugh, her lists, the way she planned trips they never got to take. This trip had been one of them. He had found Silver Pine Inn saved on her laptop in a folder called Someday Trips. Cabin 7 had been circled, perfect for Lily, Rebecca had written, so Daniel booked it before he could talk himself out of it. Lily's voice softened. "Do you think she'd like it here?" Daniel looked through the snow. "I think that's why she picked it." A moment later, warm lights appeared between the trees. Lily gasped. "There!" A wooden sign came into view. "Silver Pine Inn, come in from the cold." Daniel followed the driveway until the inn appeared. It looked like a Christmas card come to life. Stone chimney, glowing windows, garland on the porch, lanterns shining through the snow. Lily pressed her face to the window. "It's beautiful." Daniel swallowed. "Yeah, it is." Before they reached the front steps, the door opened. A woman stepped onto the porch wearing a cream sweater and snow boots. Her brown hair rested in a loose braid, and her smile was warm enough to make the cold feel less sharp. "You must be the Mercers." Daniel nodded. "That's us." "I'm Claire Montgomery. Welcome to Silver Pine Inn." Lily looked up at her. "Do you have hot chocolate?" Daniel closed his eyes. "Lily," Claire laughed. "We have hot chocolate, whipped cream, and cookies." Lily nodded seriously. "Then we can stay." For the first time all day, Daniel laughed. Inside, the lobby glowed with firelight. A huge stone fireplace crackled against one wall. The air smelled like cinnamon, pine, and something baking in the kitchen. Lily spun slowly in place. Daniel watched her face. Wonder. Real wonder. He hadn't seen that in months. Claire handed him a brass key with a wooden tag. Cabin 7. "It's down the lantern path," she said. "Fire's already going." Daniel looked at the key. Rebecca had chosen this cabin, and now they were here without her. Claire seemed to notice the weight of the moment, but she didn't ask. She only smiled gently. "Come on," she said. "Let's get you in from the cold." Daniel picked up their bags. Lily grabbed her backpack. Together they followed Claire back into the falling snow. Ahead of them, lanterns glowed between the pine trees, and at the end of the path, Cabin 7 waited. Neither Daniel nor Lily knew it yet, but the little cabin in the snow was about to change everything. Chapter 2. Rebecca's List. Cabin 7 was warmer than Daniel expected. A fire crackled in the stone fireplace. 2 quilts waited at the foot of the beds. A small Christmas tree glowed near the window. On the table sat a plate of cookies, 2 mugs, and a stuffed bear wearing a red scarf. Lily ran to it immediately. "Is this for me?" Claire smiled. "His name is Jasper, unless you want to rename him." Lily hugged the bear. "Jasper is perfect." Daniel looked around the cabin. Rebecca would have loved it. That thought hurt. Then Lily pulled a folded paper from her backpack. "I brought something." Daniel already knew what it was before she opened it, the printed page from Rebecca's travel folder. Silver Pine Inn, Cabin 7, circled in blue ink. Perfect for Lily. Daniel sat slowly on the edge of the bed. "You found that?" Lily nodded. "On your desk." Claire stood quietly near the door. Lily traced the circle with one finger. "Mum picked this one," Daniel swallowed. "Yeah, she did." "Does that mean she wanted us to be happy here?" The question broke something open in him. Daniel looked at the fire, then at his daughter. "I think so." Lily nodded, as if that settled it. "Then we should try." Claire's eyes softened. Daniel couldn't speak for a moment. Finally, he looked at her. "Thank you for getting the cabin ready." Claire smiled gently. "That's what we do here." After Claire left, Lily changed into pajamas and climbed into bed with Jasper tucked under one arm. Daniel sat by the fire holding Rebecca's printed page. He turned it over and froze. There was handwriting on the back, Rebecca's handwriting. "Danny, if we ever make it here, remind me to sit by the fire and do absolutely nothing for once. And if life gets crazy and I forget, make me remember. Love." Or Daniel pressed the paper to his lips. For months, he had tried to be strong, for Lily, for work, for everyone. But alone beside the fire in cabin 7, he finally let himself cry, quietly, honestly. Across the room, Lily slept peacefully with Jasper in her arms. Outside, snow covered the lantern path. And for the first time since Rebecca died, Daniel wondered if maybe this trip wasn't only about saying goodbye. Maybe it was also about learning how to keep living. Chapter 3. Mr. Waffles. The smell of bacon woke Lily before the alarm did. She sat upright in bed. "Dad," Daniel groaned from the other side of the cabin. "What?" "I smell breakfast." Daniel opened one eye. "You smell bacon." "Same thing." 20 minutes later, they followed the lantern path back to the main inn. The dining room buzzed with conversation. Guests laughed around long wooden tables while Christmas music played softly from hidden speakers. Before Daniel could find a seat, a woman emerged from the kitchen carrying a tray of cinnamon rolls. "New guests," she pointed at them. "Sit, eat, be happy." Daniel blinked. "Good morning," she laughed. "I'm Emily." Lily immediately pointed at the tray. "Are those free?" Emily looked impressed. "I like her." Daniel sighed. "Everyone says that." "Because she's smart." A loud snort came from nearby. An older man sat beside the fireplace reading a newspaper. "Or she's plotting something," Emily pointed. "That's Hank. Ignore him." "I heard that." "You were supposed to." Lily giggled. Daniel found himself smiling. Breakfast felt strangely normal. Not hospital normal, not funeral normal. Normal normal. The kind he'd almost forgotten existed. After eating enough pancakes to alarm several witnesses, Lily spotted a flyer taped near the fireplace. Silver Pine Snowman Contest. Today at noon, first prize, giant hot chocolate basket. Lily gasped. "Dad." "No. You don't even know what I'm asking." "Yes, I do," she smiled. "Please." At noon, guests gathered near the frozen pond. The snow had stopped, leaving behind a perfect winter afternoon. Lily immediately went to work. Daniel helped roll snow while she directed the operation like a construction foreman. "Bigger, Lily, bigger." A half-hour later, they stood back to admire their creation. The snowman wore a scarf, pine cone buttons, and a crooked smile. "What should we call him?" Daniel asked. Lily thought seriously, then nodded. "Mr. Waffles." "Obviously." Across the clearing, Claire tried very hard not to laugh. Emily wasn't trying at all. When judging began, guests gathered around each snowman. There were impressive entries, creative entries. One snowman somehow wore sunglasses. Then the judges stopped in front of Mr. Waffles. Claire folded her arms. "Tell us about your snowman." Lily stepped forward proudly. "Mr. Waffles believes everyone deserves second chances." The adults exchanged glances. Daniel nearly laughed. "Where did you hear that?" Lily shrugged. "I made it up." Hank pointed. "That kid's going places." 10 minutes later, Claire announced the winner. "And first place goes to Mr. Waffles," Lily screamed. Actually screamed, then launched herself into Daniel's arms. For a moment he forgot everything. The grief, the loneliness, the ache he'd carried for months. There was only his daughter laughing in the snow, and somehow that felt enough. As the crowd began drifting back toward the inn, Emily approached, carrying the giant hot chocolate basket. "You earned it." Lily accepted it with great dignity. "Thank you." Then Emily lowered her voice. "Tomorrow we're having story hour." Lily's eyes widened. "With books?" "With books." "Can I come?" Emily smiled. "You'd better." That evening, back at Cabin 7, Lily sat beside the fireplace sipping hot chocolate. Jasper the bear rested beside her. Daniel watched her from across the room. She looked happy, truly happy. It had been a long time since he'd seen that. Lily looked up suddenly. "Dad?" "Yeah?" "I think Mom would have liked Mr. Waffles." Daniel smiled. "She definitely would have." Outside, snow began falling again. Inside Cabin 7, the fire crackled softly, and neither of them knew that tomorrow's story hour would introduce them to someone who would change everything. Chapter 4. Sarah Bennett. The next afternoon, Lily practically dragged Daniel to story hour. "Dad, we're late." "We're 10 minutes early." "Exactly." Daniel had forgotten how children measured time. Anything less than arriving absurdly early apparently counted as late. The gathering was held in a small room off the main lobby. Christmas lights hung around the windows and a fire crackled in the corner. Several children sat on a large rug. Lily immediately joined them. Daniel found a chair along the wall. A few minutes later, the door opened. A woman stepped inside carrying a stack of books. She wore a green sweater, dark jeans, and snow boots dusted with white powder. Her brown hair was pulled into a loose ponytail. She smiled at the children. The room instantly became quieter. Daniel wasn't sure why, maybe because it was a genuine smile, the kind people couldn't fake. Emily appeared beside him. "That's Sarah." Daniel looked away a little too quickly. "Okay," Emily grinned. "Just making conversation." "Uh-huh." Sarah settled into a chair at the front of the room. "Ready for a story?" The children cheered. Lily cheered the loudest. Sarah laughed and opened the book. For the next 30 minutes the room disappeared. She gave every character a different voice. She acted out scenes. She made the children laugh. Even Daniel found himself paying attention. When the story ended, the kids applauded. Sarah bowed dramatically. "Thank you. Thank you. I'll be here all week." The children giggled. Afterward, Lily walked straight over to her. Daniel prepared himself to apologize for whatever his daughter was about to say. Instead, Lily held out Jasper. "This is my bear." Sarah accepted the stuffed animal. "Well, hello there. His name is Jasper." "A strong name," Lily nodded. "He likes hot chocolate. Excellent taste." Within seconds, they were talking as if they'd known each other forever. Daniel watched from across the room. Something about the scene made his chest ache. Not in a painful way, in a hopeful one, a feeling he hadn't experienced in a very long time. Sarah eventually looked up. Their eyes met. Daniel immediately looked at the fireplace, very interested in fireplaces. A moment later, he heard footsteps approaching. When he looked up again, Sarah stood in front of him. "You must be Lily's dad." Daniel stood. "Daniel Mercer." "Sarah Bennett." They shook hands. Her smile was warm, easy, dangerously easy. "She's wonderful," Sarah said. Daniel glanced toward Lily. "She keeps me busy." "I can tell." For a second, neither spoke, not awkwardly, just carefully, like two people who weren't sure how much of themselves they wanted to reveal. Sarah finally nodded toward Lily. "She told me you built Mr. Waffles." Daniel laughed. She built him. I was labour. Good management skills. Runs in the family. The words slipped out before he could stop them. For the briefest moment, Rebecca's absence stood between them. Sarah seemed to sense it. She didn't ask questions, didn't offer sympathy, didn't make things uncomfortable. She simply gave him a small, understanding smile, and somehow that felt like kindness. A few minutes later, Lily came running back. "Dad!" "What?" "Sarah says there's a wish tree outside." Sarah pointed toward the lobby window. A large pine tree stood near the front porch. Colourful ribbons and handwritten wishes hung from its branches. "Every guest adds one," Sarah explained. Lily gasped. "We have to do that." Daniel laughed. "Apparently we do." As they walked toward the door, Lily slipped her hand into his. Halfway across the lobby, she looked back. Sarah was still standing near the fireplace. For a moment, she and Daniel exchanged another glance. Then Lily tugged his arm. "Come on." Daniel followed his daughter outside, but as they crossed the snow-covered porch, he found himself thinking about Sarah Bennett. And for the first time since Rebecca died, that realization didn't fill him with guilt. It filled him with surprise. Chapter 5. The Wish Tree. The wish tree stood near the front porch, its branches covered with ribbons and handwritten notes. Some were simple: good health, peace, more time with family. Others were funny. "Please let my brother stop stealing my snacks." Lily read every single one. Daniel stood nearby with his hands in his pockets, watching snow drift through the pines. "Dad?" "Yeah?" "What should I wish for?" Daniel looked at the blank tag Claire had given her. "That's up to you." Lily frowned. "You're supposed to help." "I thought wishes were personal." "They are." She handed him the tag anyway. Daniel smiled. Some battles weren't worth fighting. After a moment, he knelt beside her. "What do you want most right now?" Lily looked toward the mountains, then toward the inn. Finally, she whispered something so softly, he almost missed it. "I want us to be happy again." The words hit harder than he expected. Daniel swallowed, then wrapped an arm around her shoulders. "I want that too." Together they wrote the wish and tied it to one of the lower branches. The ribbon fluttered gently in the wind. Later that afternoon, Daniel sat alone on the porch of Cabin 7. The snow had stopped. The world felt quiet, peaceful, the kind of peaceful that made room for thoughts he'd been avoiding. The cabin door opened behind him. Claire stepped outside carrying 2 mugs. "Thought you might need coffee." Daniel accepted one. "Thank you." Claire sat in the chair beside him. For a while they simply watched the falling snow from the trees. Finally Claire spoke. "You're doing better than you think." Daniel laughed softly. "That's generous." "No, it's true." He stared into his mug. "I don't know what I'm doing anymore." Claire nodded. "Most people don't." Daniel looked toward the frozen pond. Rebecca was always the planner. The words came easier than he expected. She had lists for everything. "Sounds familiar." Daniel smiled. She would have loved this place. "I think she would have." The answer surprised him. Not because Claire agreed, because she said it like she'd known Rebecca herself. Daniel took a slow breath. "Some days I feel guilty for laughing." Claire looked at him. "Why?" "Because she's gone." The silence stretched between them. Then Claire said something he would remember for years. "Loving someone doesn't mean you stop living when they're gone." Daniel looked away, because part of him needed to hear that, and part of him wasn't ready. That evening Lily knocked on Cabin 7's door. Daniel opened it. Sarah stood on the porch holding a plate covered in foil. "Emily sent reinforcements." Daniel smiled. "Reinforcements?" Apparently she heard Lily only ate 1 vegetable today. That information travels fast. Small town. Sarah handed him the plate. The smell of fresh cookies drifted upward. Lily appeared immediately, as if summoned by magic. Cookies, Sarah laughed. Hi, Lily. Come in. It wasn't a request. Sarah glanced at Daniel. He shrugged. I've learned resistance is pointless. A few minutes later, the three of them sat around the fireplace. Lily talked enough for all three people. Sarah listened. Daniel found himself smiling more than speaking, and somehow that felt okay. At one point, Lily yawned dramatically, then tried to pretend she hadn't. Daniel pointed. Bed. I'm not tired. She yawned again. Sarah laughed. That's usually a sign. After Lily disappeared into the bedroom with Jasper, the cabin grew quiet. The fire crackled softly. Neither Daniel nor Sarah seemed eager to break the silence. Finally, Sarah smiled. She reminds me a little of you. Daniel looked surprised. That's concerning. Not really, she hesitated. She's brave. For a moment, Daniel couldn't speak, because nobody had called him that in a very long time. Outside, snow began falling again. Inside cabin 7, something had changed. Neither of them said it out loud, but both of them felt it. And for the first time since arriving at Silver Pine Inn, Daniel found himself looking forward to tomorrow. Chapter 6. The Promise of Next Christmas. The morning they were supposed to leave arrived too quickly. Lily stood at the window of cabin 7 with her arms crossed. I don't want to go. Daniel smiled as he zipped their last suitcase. You said the same thing about summer camp. I was right then too. Outside, fresh snow covered the lantern path. Silver Pine Inn looked exactly the way it had when they arrived, but somehow everything felt different. Or maybe they were the ones who had changed. A little later, they carried their bags to the main lodge. Emily immediately appeared with a paper bag. Road snacks. Lily peeked inside. Cookies. Lots of cookies. You're my favourite person. Emily grinned. I hear that a lot. Nearby, Hank shook Daniel's hand. Take care of yourself. Daniel nodded. I'll try. Good. That was apparently all the emotional vulnerability Hank could manage. Then the front door opened. Sarah stepped inside. She held a small box wrapped in silver paper. Lily gasped. For me? Sarah smiled. For you? Lily carefully removed the ribbon and opened the box. Inside sat a small Christmas ornament, a glass snowflake with tiny silver stars painted across it. Lily stared at it. It's beautiful. Sarah knelt beside her. Every year when you put it on your tree, I want you to remember something. What? Sarah smiled. That happy memories don't disappear. The room grew very quiet. Lily threw her arms around her. Sarah hugged her back. Daniel looked away for a moment, mostly because his eyes suddenly felt suspiciously warm. When Lily finally stepped back, she held the ornament like treasure. I'm never breaking this. A solid plan, Sarah said. Claire appeared beside them. Ready for the road? Lily sighed dramatically. No, Claire laughed. I'll take that as a compliment. Outside, Daniel loaded the truck while Lily carefully secured the ornament in her backpack. When he finished, he found Sarah standing near the lantern path, waiting for him. For a moment, neither spoke. Snow drifted softly between the trees. Finally, Daniel smiled. I'm not very good at this. At loading trucks? At this, Sarah laughed. Me neither. That made him feel better. A little. Daniel shoved his hands into his coat pockets. I was wondering. Sarah waited. If maybe you'd let me take you to dinner sometime. The smile that appeared on her face was worth every ounce of courage it took to ask. I'd like that. Relief washed through him, warm and unexpected. Good, good, she agreed. For a second they simply stood there, neither wanting the moment to end. Then Sarah stepped closer. Not far, just enough, and before Daniel could overthink it, she kissed his cheek. Soft, quick, perfect. When she stepped back, both of them were smiling. "Call me," she said. "I will." "Promise." Daniel glanced toward cabin 7 one last time, then back at her. "Promise." A few minutes later, the truck pulled away from Silver Pine Inn. Lily waved from the passenger seat until the inn disappeared behind the trees. The ornament rested safely in her lap. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Then Lily smiled. "Dad?" "Yeah." "Are we coming back next Christmas?" Daniel thought about Claire, Emily, Hank, Sarah, and the little cabin at the end of the lantern path. Then he smiled. "Yeah." Lily grinned. "I thought so." Snow continued falling over the mountains as they drove home. Cabin 7 hadn't fixed everything. Grief didn't work that way, but it had given Daniel and Lily something they thought they had lost. Hope. And sometimes hope was enough. The end. Thank you for visiting Silver Pine Inn. If you enjoyed this story, please subscribe and join us for more heartwarming romances, second chances, and unforgettable guests at Silver Pine Inn. There are always new stories waiting just beyond the lantern path.